Good afternoon, Samara. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Blessed always, in always. You are the co-author of Diane Abbott, the Authorised Biography.
That is right.
Um, Real pleasure to have you here. I know your schedule must be off the hook right now, especially as the book was released for sale last month. I've seen a few reviews. I haven't had a chance to read it yet myself, but I will do.
Yeah. It's only last
Um,
week, actually.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So there you
really,
go.
really recent. Yeah.
There you go. So talk about what it was like to write the biography of someone considered such a pioneer, so revered by her community.
Yeah, it was a really exciting, but also quite scary time for me. I worked with my co-author, who's called Robin Bunce, and he is a political historian, and he wrote, co-wrote Dorcas Howe's biography before he passed. And Diane had reviewed Dorcas Howe's biography and loved it, and kind of was quite keen to work with Robin. And Robin and I have known each other for many years now, from back when I was at university. And he thought that it'd be great to have me on side, to write with him, to research with him, and also, I guess, to bring my own insights and perspective as a Black woman as well. Um, and yeah, it was a complete privilege being able to document the life story of, Britain's first Black woman MP. There's nothing that compares to that. So definitely a privilege, a lot of work, but definitely worth it.
Before we go into the book a bit more, I want to find out about you. You're
Hmm.
a writer, obviously,
Hmm.
but I talk about how you find yourself in that lane at this stage in your life, and I'm sure there are a few more strings to the bow of Samara Linton. So what are they?
Yeah. So I guess first and foremost, a I'm a writer. That's my love. That's my passion. But I'm also a medical doctor. I went to medical school and I worked for a year as a junior doctor in East London. And I've just taken some time out from medicine to kind of take my writing more seriously and to really pursue writing and content production. But my first love was medicine and health. And I think the thing that drew me to it was just, finding you meet all sorts of incredible people when you do medicine. Anyone can walk through that door. And I've always just been intrigued by people and by their stories and by their character. And yeah, I think it very much links to what I do now because, it's the character of Diane that intrigued me more than anything else and, drew me to this project with her. So yeah, medicine is my first love, but I think anything to do with storytelling, uncovering people's lives, kind of intertwining myself into their lives. I'm a bit nosy, a bit curious, and I think, yeah, both medicine and journalism and writing have that in common.
Yeah, you're in the perfect space. Diane, right? She's faced such poor treatment from the British media and the most abused politician online, MP.
Mm.
Drilling down on that for a second, what was it like unearthing those aspects of her journey and just kind of, pouring over it and ensuring that, it's reflected in the book, insofar as maybe giving people an understanding on how that might have impacted on her. I mean, she's a human being, an individual who's
Mm.
had to shoulder so much.
Yeah, definitely. I think as as a Black woman, it's especially as a Black woman, it's been very clear how much of the abuse directed at Diane has been racialized and sexualized. So much of it, they're not even necessarily critiquing her policies and her politics, but it would just be like the fact that she is a Black woman who dares to speak up and, has the audacity to say something that shakes the status quo. And I kind of went into this knowing that and being aware of that. Growing up on the age of social media, I've seen, the kind of abuse that she gets on social media, the kind of the way in which the media narratives have been twisted or taken out of context to paint her in a particular light. And going through that, digging into it, and in many ways reliving those moments, it was difficult. It's hard not to take it personally and feel it personally because of the nature of the abuse that she was getting and because it could be any one of us. Because it could be any Black woman in that position and they would have faced similar abuse. But I think what was also quite revealing is that even before the age of social media and the age of digital media, um, Diane's been getting this abuse from her opponents, from the opposition party, but also from her own party as well. And this abuse isn't new to her. Many a time she has had to stand up to people who want to put her in her place. And I think for many of us, we see it more easily now because of the nature of media, but it's not new to her, and she's been dealing with this for decades. And it's a real testament to her strength of character, to her resolve, and to her tenacity.
What did you learn about Diane during this process that maybe you didn't know prior to? I can imagine there's a multitude of things, but just if you could narrow down maybe some of the most impactful on you.
Yeah, I think one of the main things I learned about Diane is that she's really funny. She's like a very humorous person, like very dry, very British humor. And I think because of the kind of the media image that I get of her, I think especially in recent years, we forget that there is this actual, just very funny, very down-to-earth person there. And I enjoyed learning that part of Diane and seeing that part of Diane, and I really enjoyed being able to document that part of her as well. But also, in terms of what I've learned, I think also because I'm young, a lot of the things that happened before my time, I wasn't very aware of. And the main thing that's kind of struck me is how Diane has been campaigning on, speaking on, spearheading the same issues time and time again, pretty consistently for 33 years. Issues of civil liberties, of immigration, of race issues, social issues. These aren't new things to Diane. And even before they were popular, and even before they were necessarily popular mantra for her party, Diane has been, pushing for these things. And for me, that really struck me, because what you have seen is that even though Diane's message has stayed very constant, I guess society's own views have moved, they've ebbed and flowed around hers, and at times her views are seen as more radical and left-wing extremist, and other times they're seen as, well, of course we should do that. And it's been very interesting to see her as this steadfast, very principled figure throughout the last 30 years of Britain's political history. It's something I don't really appreciate, I guess, having only become aware of Diane in the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years of my own life.
Away from politics, is there anything that the book kind of delves into that might come as a surprise?
That comes as a surprise. Well, one of the things I really enjoyed looking into was like Diane's media life. She spent a lot of time on TV, doing talk shows and political things, but also she was involved in a lot of game shows. She learned how to play the piano from scratch on TV, and we learned her and saw her go through that journey. We saw her go back to Jamaica and meet her family there and speak about the musical people in her family, and her kind of process of being a part of the diaspora and what that means for her. Diane is a book nerd. She loves books, she loves music, and it's always fascinating to see which characters stand out to her from the novels that she reads and the books that she reads, and who her favorite heroines are. And there's a real colorful personality to Diane that we do try to bring forth in the book. It is a political biography at the end of the day, and we don't delve into her personal life beyond the aspects of her personal life that have shaped her political career. So, when she sent her son to a private school and that kind of thing, we do talk about that. But on the whole, we focus on the making of Diane, the MP. And that's kind of what she wanted us to do, and that's what we focused on doing. But you can't help but see Diane the person as well in doing that.
You've given away a lot already, and I'm sure just enough for people to go and pick it up. But and I don't want to give away too much, as I really want people to read it, as I will. But in the grand scheme of contributors to Black British history, how do you sum up Diane's part? Can we even quantify her role in any shape or form?
I would almost say it's too early to say, because she's still here and she's still doing the work. She hasn't stopped yet, and that amazes me whenever I think about it. But you know, we can say that she's been the first in so many areas of her life. The first Black woman MP, the first Black woman to run for party leader, the first Black person to speak on behalf of the leader for Prime Minister's questions. You know, she's ticked off so many of these first, and in so many ways that she's a pioneer. And you know, the Parliament that we see now is so different to the Parliament that she entered. We've had the most Black and Asian MPs that we've ever seen, the most diverse Parliament we've ever seen, and you know, Diane is a central figure in making that happen. You know, people see her and think, okay, if she can do it, maybe I can do it too. So I think we can recognize her significance in terms of her being the first, but I don't think her work is done. And I think we are yet to see kind of the final stamp that Diane will leave on Britain.
Described as a nuanced portrait of one of the most fascinating figures in British politics, Diane Abbott, the Authorised Biography, is out now, co-authored by Samara Linton. Any final words on what people can expect when they part with their money and they buy this book, Samara, just before we leave you?
I think people will get to know Diane a bit better. I think people get to see a more well-rounded picture of her. And I think they will be able to see the role that she's played in a lot of the advances that we've made in Britain's recent history. And I hope that they will, you know, read that book, have a greater appreciation of her, but also have their own questions and their own, it will challenge them to think differently as well. That's the hope.